began, destroying homes and killing at least one person. Well, for more on this, I'm joined by Alina Polyakova, President of the Center for European Policy Analysis. Alina, thank you for your time. Now, the awkwardness of this meeting between J.D. Vance and Volodymyr Zelensky aside, is this a clear sign that there is still hope for some sort of diplomatic solution to this conflict?
I do think that there's hope. I think the big factor here is, of course, the Kremlin and Mr. Putin, who have shown zero interest to actually be a trustworthy actor and make the kinds of compromises that, of course, would be required for any negotiated solutions. So the phone calls that we're expecting to take place tomorrow between President Trump, President Putin, and President Zelensky, I think will signal which direction these negotiations will go in and whether the United States will remain engaged, given that the White House is becoming increasingly frustrated with the kind of foot dragging that the Kremlin has been engaging in over the last several weeks and months.
Yeah, President Trump had promised to resolve this conflict within a day. It's now been 4 months, but his rhetoric has become a bit stronger in recent weeks towards Russia and towards Vladimir Putin. Do you think that brings sort of a clear focus to this issue from the Trump White House?
Well, we absolutely are seeing a shift, not just from President Trump, but Vice President J.D. Vance, who met with President Zelensky during the inauguration of the new pope. So these are all positive signs that the White House sees that the problem here really is Moscow, it really is Putin, and they, I think, are recalibrating their approach to Ukraine and approach to Russia as well. But so far, we haven't seen anything specific in terms of actions to signal that the White House will launch a new policy that will focus more on putting the pressure on the Russians, which is what it would take for the Russians to come to the negotiating table in good faith, versus what's been the policy and the approach so far, which is to offer incentives. And the Kremlin has very clearly said time and time again, no thank you to those incentives.
So what do you think, what will you be looking out for from this phone call between President Trump and President Putin?
Well, we never truly know what is discussed in these calls. We get the readouts from both sides, the White House and Moscow. I think what I'll be looking for is whether this is a friendly call between two friends, or whether the United States and President Trump are going to set out some clear demands that say, look, here's what we need you to do. And if you don't, we're going to change how we're talking, and we're going to put some real economic pressure on you. We've threatened that. The U.S. has threatened that. We're going to continue to arm the Ukrainians, which, of course, the Russians don't want. There's all kinds of specific actions that the White House could take. So I'll be looking for some signs that the White House is now, putting action where the words have been. But so far, I think the rhetoric has been moving in a positive direction. Now the question, are we actually going to see a real policy change?
Alina, thanks very much. We'll leave it there. Alina Polyakova, President of the Center for European Policy Analysis.